Stan Swamy, the 84-year-old priest activist who was arrested under an anti-terror law in the Elgar Parishad case, has died today in the middle of his fight for bail on health grounds. The priest had been on a ventilator since yesterday when his health worsened drastically. He was being treated at the Holy Family Hospital in Mumbai, but only after a court order on the 28th of May. Jailed in a prison near Mumbai, he spent the last few months of his life fighting legal battles for even the smallest of needs. In December, he was finally allowed a straw and a sipper in jail, which he had requested on account of his galloping Parkinson's disease. The National Investigation Agency, which arrested him in October from his home in what has been criticized a late-night swoop, opposed his bail request in court and said there was no conclusive proof of his medical ailments. The agency alleged that Stan Swamy was a Maoist who had plotted to cause unrest in the country. Saurabh joining us. Saurabh, you've tracked all the twists and turns and all of this. Now this final tragic outcome. Stan Swamy dying in hospital post-COVID and after several complications. A tragic outcome to those many requests for interim bail citing health reasons?
Absolutely, and on a day when they had moved an urgent petition for bail and the bail hearing was about to come up at 3 p.m, the Bombay High Court was informed when it took up the case that Father Stan Swamy had died at 1:30 in the afternoon here at the Holy Family Hospital. Now, Father Stan Swamy was moved here to the Holy Family Hospital on the orders of the Bombay High Court. Remember, the NIA had even opposed his moving to a private hospital, saying it would send the wrong precedent, which is why this is being attributed, the responsibility for this is being attributed to the state. Firstly, he deteriorated in prison, and then, of course, he was moved to this private hospital. The Bombay High Court allowed that. And then, of course, he was here. He recovered from COVID. He had tested negative for COVID. He was tested positive for COVID on the day he moved here, which was the 29th of May, from Taloja prison, where he was housed after his arrest in October last year under the stringent UAPA. Now, Father Stan Swamy's case is just yet another example of how UAPA is used to keep people in jail for a long time. And he was admitted here. He spent since the time from May till July he was here, and unfortunately, of course, he passed away this afternoon at the Holy Family Hospital. Now, according to what we've learned, that the court has ordered handing over his body to Father Fraser Mascarenhas, who's the parish priest here. He will, of course, be responsible for his funeral and all of that. But we're also being given to understand that because this was a death in custody, even though Father Stan Swamy was in hospital, he was in judicial custody, which means he's in custody of the of the law. And in that case, there will be a post-mortem also. So what we're being given to understand at this point is that Father Stan Swamy's body will be taken from here at the Holy Family Hospital to the Cooper Hospital, where there will be a post-mortem, and then post that it will be brought back for his last rites, his funeral, on which Father Fraser Mascarenhas will take a call. He, of course, is the person whom the body will be handed over to, and this is something that's going to happen over the next few hours. But yes, the larger question is, was it too late by the time that he was shifted to hospital? Because his condition had started deteriorating earlier. In fact, during a video conferencing hearing, he had mentioned that specifically. His co-accused were taking care of him in his prison cell in Taloja prison. He was an 84-year-old suffering from Parkinson's disease with other age-related illnesses, including, difficulty in hearing, something that was also clearly visible during the Bombay High Court hearing. So obviously, there's Father Stan Swamy, but there are several other activists who continue to remain in jail in this case. And that's something that's a question that's been raised again. But Father Stan Swamy's unfortunate death is also brought the focus back on that is UAPA used in an arbitrary manner by agencies to keep people in jail and deny them bail? Because in normal cases, it's easier to get bail than the UAPA, which is a stringent anti-terror law. And all of this, of course, Father Stan Swamy is no more. There have been, people who've been posting condolence messages talking about his work. He was a tribal rights activist, who worked. He was picked up from Ranchi in October last year by the NIA. And there have also been questions, more importantly, about the evidence in this case.
Yes,
because
indeed.
in this case, an international agency has, of course, said that, it seems like the evidence was planted. That is also something that has been raised in court. But obviously, while Father Stan Swami's bail hearing was to begin, even before that, he had already died at 1:30 in the afternoon at the Holy Family Hospital in Bandra in Mumbai.
Saurabh, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let me take this right across for further reactions. Harsh Mandar, social worker and writer and columnist, joins us on the program, as does Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, and PKD Nambiar, political analyst. Harsh Mandar, let me begin with you. You've written very movingly about Stan Swami in the past. Your thoughts today as the news of his death comes to us?
I can't tell you how saddened I feel for Stan Swami, for our judicial system, and for the country. I've met Father Stan Swami in Ranchi. Here's this man who's, at even an old age, living in a one small room, devoting his life completely selflessly to the rights of Adivasi people. Very brave, very courageous, but very gentle. And when they took him in, he actually said, "I'm not alone. And there are many people who are being framed like me." Against projects like the Adani project and so on, he was unpopular with the government. But I think that, firstly, there's the question of a law like the UAPA that continues in the statute books, which allows people to be held for years without any evidence being tested in a court of law. That's first. Second is that it is being used with this kind of cruelty. Here's an 84-year-old man, prima facie. If he was, where would he run away if he was given bail? He was, and he had to struggle, go to court after court to get a SIPA. He was kept in the middle of, he was very high risk in COVID. He was still kept in a crowded jail. In his, writings, the few notes that he sent, I was moved to tears because even then he was talking and he said, I'm really worried about the poor prisoners here. I hear their stories. I worry about, justice for them. And in these conditions, he deteriorated very, very rapidly. And bail wasn't given. He said, at least let me go and fall sick and die among the people in Ranchi. That was not denied. I feel that there's a huge culpability of the criminal justice system and the courts, the police, the courts, the executive. And I hope this moment forces us to reflect as a country whether we want to continue to have laws which can be used with this cruelty against some of our finest Indian citizens.
Okay, that's an interesting thought there, because there are so many others who still continue to be in the situation that Stan Swami found himself, some of them equally old and perhaps ailing as well, including Varavara Rao. But PKD Nambiar, do reflect on some of those points made by Harsh Mandar. The fact that this was an 84-year-old man who was in obvious distress in terms of his health, his physical condition, but was denied bail, but was effectively, continued to be in prison for 9 months.
Ankita, well, I believe that a human loss, and that too in such kind of a condition at an age like this in the jail, is definitely will move anybody, whomsoever, anyone. But in the meantime, it is also important. We are living in we have a democracy and we have a rule of law in this country. And if an agency like NIA comes and very strongly with a certain evidences against an individual, the law should take its own. In fact, while claiming like as our co-panelist was just talking about, that his tribal activity and etc., that the NIA has really given in an affidavit in the court that even though he is claiming to be a voice of the tribal people community, but he was also aligned to the banned CPIM Maoist. So I think a person who passed away, we should not be talking wrong, that's our culture. But in the meantime, it is also important for us not to negate what has been done and in what account that person has been arrested and jailed. So I think it may be it is unfortunate that he had at the age of 84, he died because of COVID or the post-COVID symptoms. But one should not be just in 1 second, you cannot negate all those what he has been arrested for. Our system, our justice system is also not so weak and bad that an 84-year-old without having any kind of proof, NIA or any other agency would arrest a person like him and put him into jail.
Yeah, I do want Sanjay Hegde to respond to that point you're making. You know, these were charges against the stringent anti-terror law, the UAPA. You know, some of the charges included the fact that Stan Swamy, the NIA claimed was an active CPI Maoist cadre, that he received funds for Maoist activities, that he was part of a plot, in fact, an assassination plot. So, Sanjay Hegde, your thoughts on that? And, you know, given the charges against him, was it difficult for a court to have given him bail?
See, it was difficult for a court to have given him bail, given the nature of the UAPA itself and the interpretation that the courts themselves have placed on UAPA. There is a particularly horrendous judgment of the Supreme Court called Vatali, which basically says that if there is a UAPA charge, then there is no question of bail. You wait for the trial. The problem in India is that there is no trial. If the investigating agencies decides to fix a man, put him in prison and throw away the key, they can very well do it. And there's very little that the courts can do, given the state of the law that currently is. It's only in recent times that the high courts have sort of woken up and begun to question the application of this law in routine cases. You remember that Natasha Narwal did not get bail to see her dying father, and thereafter, finally, she's got bail. There are several questions out here. We say that the normal rule is bail and not jail. Who was the investigating officer who decided that an 81-year-old priest was responsible for what happened in Bhima Koregaon, 1,000 kilometers away? Who was it who decided that this man had to be arrested? Who was it who gave instructions to the prosecution to oppose every sensible application which was made either for a SIPR or for even medical bail? Yes, the courts can say that, look, the law is such, what do we do? But ultimately, the courts are to administer justice according to the law. If you tell me that this is justice, I can only say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they say.
Harsh Mandar, quick last word from you. Where does this really leave? As you said, we're at a crossroads after this, but there are several other activists who are also still in jail in connection with the Bhima Koregaon violence and the Elgar Parishad case, as it's called. Do you believe that Stan Swamy's death will perhaps force a rethink now in their cases?
If there is a public conscience, and if there is a judicial conscience, it must. My fear is that if it does not, it reflects the fact that, you know, to what extent our conscience has died. If you're not moved by this, you know, it is basically what Mr. Hegde was saying, is really the use of law to defeat justice. And I would say the use of law to defeat elementary humanity. And can we permit this as a nation? I mean, this is really, Father Stan Swamy, I'm not exaggerating, I think should be classified as one of the great Indians whom we have lost in the way he spent his life. He's an example of selfless service and courage. And if this is the way he has to go, then all of us are diminished.
All right, we leave it at that. Thanks very much indeed, all of you, for joining us on this program. But here's what Stan Swamy himself had said in a video statement last year before he was arrested.
What is happening to me is not something unique happening to me alone. It's a broader process that is taking place all over the country. We are all aware how prominent intellectuals, lawyers, writers, poets, activists, student leaders, they are all put into jail just because they have expressed their dissent or raised questions about the ruling powers of India. So we are part of the process. As that in a way, I am happy to be part of this process because I'm not a silent spectator, but I'm part of it, part of the game, and ready to pay the price, whatever be it.